Hey guys, welcome to Red 50. Welcome to another video, and today we've got a 5-year ownership review of my 2019 Mustang GT. I can't believe it's been 5 years since I've owned this Mustang, and it's been an absolute blast. There has been a couple of things that have gone wrong, which we'll cover in the video, but just owning this car and the way it currently sits, it's basically my dream, my vision come true when I bought the car. I had all this stuff planned out, and over time we've built it the way it is, and every time I look at it, it's just so good. So I daily drive this car, so that's why it's got about 50,000 miles on it. So in this video, we're gonna cover what's on the car when I bought it. It was bought brand new, so all the packages and everything that's on it. And then everything we've done to the car in terms of modification. There's been a lot, as you can see, as it currently sits. And of course, discuss some of the issues I've experienced with this car as well. Not everything is fun. I've had a check engine light. I've had a couple transmission issues where I've had to take it into the dealership. So we'll cover those too, because I want this to be a true ownership review. I don't want to highlight just the good stuff. I want you guys to know everything I've experienced with this car. So if you already have a Mustang with low miles and you're just kind of assessing the long-term reliability on this car, this video is for you. Or if you're in the market for a Mustang and you're just not sure how they're going to hold up, this video is going to be for you. All right, so let's quickly start off with what's on the car. So the car is a GT premium car with the 401A, which means it's got the digital dash as well. It does not have performance pack because I was going to do a lot of modification myself, so I didn't think I needed to spend all that money on that. Now you can tell that it also has a black accent package, as the emblems are blacked out, and so is the roof, which I feel like it was a really good combination. And it also has active exhaust on the car, another good addition that I wasn't really looking for, but I'm so glad I got it. So that's how the car came from the factory. I'll post a picture how it looked like when I first got it, and this is what it looks like fully transformed. So let's talk about all the mods I've done to this car and what's to come in the future for this Mustang. So let's go ahead and talk about a couple of mods you can probably already see, but I'll go in order in terms of how the car kind of came along. The first mod, I don't know if you can really call it a mod because it's not really big, but this was the first ever mod we did on the channel and also on the Mustang, is the paddle shifter extension. This basically allows you to kind of have these extensions. It looks a little bit nicer, matches the red exterior, and gives you a little bit more room to basically press the paddles. The next up, not related to the Mustang, is we got the tint to really complete this red on black look. I have to say, if you're in the market for a used Mustang, make sure you get the blackout package because it completely changes how your car looks. So I got 20% tint all around, just a regular tint, nothing special. And we've got nothing on the windshield because we don't want to attract too much attention. Once those basic things were done, we went ahead and upgraded to the Corsa Extreme active exhaust on this Mustang. This Mustang came in with the active exhaust like I mentioned, but we upgraded to the Corsa Extreme exhaust that also has a valve system, so it still uses the active exhaust system from the Ford factory. I still have all these modes: normal, sport, quiet, track mode, and just having the quiet mode in this Mustang is just a blessing to not annoy the neighbors, and the track mode sounds just absolutely ridiculous. Then we went ahead with the GT500 spoiler, as you can see right here. This was basically one of the good mods to really bring out the rear end of the car. I kind of regret not going with the gurney flap one, but I think it's fine for now because I don't have a front splitter, which we'll talk about later. But I think it really enhances the side profile of the car, and also the rear end of the car just gives a very menacing look to it. And then before we actually did anything to the car in terms of getting the wheels and tires, we actually lowered the car. I went ahead with the Steeda springs. Then those are called Steeda Sport Progressive. So to lower the car about an inch in the rear, as you can see, and about an inch in the front. I daily drive this car, so I didn't want to go too lower, but I think I have to say the stance looks amazing on this, even though it's only 1 inch drop. I'll give you a better view from here, and you can see the car looks so good the way it sits right now. And these are the springs I would highly recommend if you have the Mustang that you're gonna daily drive it, so you don't want it to the ride quality to be too harsh. This is the perfect example of the lowering springs you can get that will get you the look that you're after, but you can still daily drive it and not have to worry about bumps and just have a harsher ride quality. After we did these springs, we thought the car needed some meatier tires, so we went ahead and upgraded the wheels and tires. I got these SVE SP2 wheels that are basically the Performance 2 replica wheels. They look really good, wrapped around in Michelin Pilot Sport all season 4 tires. They're 285 wide. You can see from here, it gives a very aggressive stance on these. So this is pretty much all the mods we have done on the car in terms of appearance. And then we of course have some goodies done for performance as well. So for performance, we started off with Canon drop-in filter. I did a lot of research to go for one of the colder intakes like the JLT, but most people said it's not worth it. I even talked to the tuner and they said it wasn't worth it unless you are just chasing every single horsepower. You're not gonna feel the difference on a street-driven car. So I went with the drop-in filter, and then we also got a Lund Racing tune, 93 octane. Drives absolutely amazing. You can easily daily drive it, but has noticeable more power on the mid-range and the top range. So you definitely feel that extra power, even though it's a naturally aspirated engines, and those tend to be a little bit harder to squeeze power out of. And then just as a safety measure, we got the JLT oil separator as well to make sure that if I'm driving the car aggressively, there is no blow-by oil that's going into the engine. And believe me, I have done a video on that. I took it out after 10,000 miles or so, and there was a good bit blow-by oil. So I highly recommend it, at least on the passenger side. Driver side is useful if you're gonna be tracking the car, but since I don't track it, I just take a drag strip and maybe autocross here and there. It has held up just fine for me. Now, of course, those are all the good stuff, how the Mustang came in, how I did all the mods and everything, and how it currently sits. I absolutely love this car, but it hasn't been all great. It's given me some issues, so I want to cover those as well to really give you a full picture of what it's been like for 5 years into the ownership of this Mustang. So as you know, the 10-speed transmission is very quirky. This is nothing new. Ford has just not been able to develop a tune until the S650 Mustang. So the 10-speed driving around can be a little quirky, and it's just not, can hunt gears, which to me is not big of a problem. But I did have two separate issues where I had to take it into the dealership. The first was actually 5,000 miles into my ownership, where if I was sitting in 10th gear and I did a kick down to 6th gear or below, it would be a very, very harsh downshift. And it wouldn't happen if I had a 9th gear and then dropped it to 6th or below. So it was only at the 10th gear level. So I took it in, I asked the dealer to look into it, and they found there was some corrupted file, which they deleted it and reinstalled it, and they did like a whole software update. Since then it was fine. I drove it around for, I want to say 20, 30,000 miles or so. Car was completely good until the 10-speed decided to act up again. So the next issue I had with this was if I had the car in sport mode and I was upshifting to 3rd or 5th gear only, it would be a very harsh it would be a very harsh upshift. So that was not pleasant, and that was happening pretty much 90% of the time. It wouldn't happen if you're in track mode or normal mode. It would only happen in sport mode where the shifter is in S. So that got very annoying, where it was just it would just shake the entire car. I've made a video on that, so you guys should check it out. But it was very annoying. So I called the dealer, I explained the problem, and they're like, yeah, some 10 speeds do tend to do that. So they're like, just bring in the car, we'll look at it. So they did it. They took the car, they drove it around, they were able to replicate the issue, and they did another software update to fix this transmission shifting. So I got the car back, and now that issue has been resolved. So definitely to say that if you do, or if you are gonna go for the 10-speed transmission, make sure you test drive it thoroughly, put it in all the modes, put it in regular mode, just kind of shift it around to really get a feel for it in terms of what you're getting, because if you're out of the warranty, they will charge you about $200-300 just to update the software. So I recommend test it out, or if it's under warranty, then just get it and have Ford fix it for you. Now, another thing that I experienced was actually, it's just a mysterious check engine light. Right when I crossed 50,000 miles and right when I was slightly above 5-year mark, I had a random check engine light, and I was kind of concerned because the car was driving fine. So I plugged in the scanner and I found out it was P0430 code, which is for catalytic converter. And it's strange because I don't have catless set up here. I still got my stock cats. I don't have long tube headers. It just has a catback exhaust, so nothing I have on the car or even the tune that will mess up with that. So it's kind of concerning for a catalytic converter to fail this early. But luckily, after driving around for a little bit, I want to say 200-300 miles, the light went away. And I was really happy, and then came back in. So So I drove it for another couple hundred miles and it went away again. And since then it's been, you know, 600-700 miles. It hasn't come back. So I'm guessing it's probably a case of using a bad pump gas or something, where maybe I was doing a road trip and even though I put 93 octane on it, maybe it was one of those random gas stations, even though I always get, maybe it just wasn't a good gas station. I don't know what happened, but it seemed to come and go and I'm not able to pinpoint it. So far right now it's off. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Hopefully it stays this way. Otherwise I might have to get new cats. So that's something you have to consider. Not really something that would happen on a car with only 50,000 miles. So I don't know what was going on with it. Basically, those are the two issues I've experienced in the 50,000 miles I've owned this car, 5 years I've owned this car. Other than that, it has been pretty good. And you know, I drive this car like I like to have fun. I would take it to the drag strip. I still get on it on the back roads. So it's not really driven like a granny car, but I have to say these cars are extremely reliable. They hold up very good. So if you're considering a Mustang or if you already have one, these will hold you 100,000, 150,000 miles without a problem. The other small stuff is, you know, the paint quality. I've covered that. It's very thin. I have a lot of paint chips over, and I think maybe if you're really meticulous about it, you can probably, you know, take care of the paint. But it was into 6 months of my ownership where I found out the paint was just way too thin, and unless I wasn't daily driving it, it was a show car, there was no way I would be able to prevent that. There's a couple misaligned panels, like the headlights over here, you can see, and even in the back, like this one, but those are minor, nothing really that would bother you, especially if you're getting a car with 460 horsepower. You have to compromise somewhere, and to me, it's the build quality. You're gonna get a little bit squeaks here and there on the interior. I get it on my leather seat somewhere sometimes, or you're gonna misalign panel, but nothing where, you know, unless someone really pointed it out to you, you're not gonna notice it with a naked eye from a distance. But yeah, that's been my experience of owning this 2019 Mustang GT for 5 years. I can't believe it's been 5 years since I've owned this car. It's been an incredible experience to me. Of course, there's some hiccup, which is fine. It hasn't given me too much trouble, but I think in all honesty, those issues I've experienced are very minor to the fun I get with this car. So I 100% would recommend this to just get a Mustang 2018 and up with the 10-speed. I know there's a lot of people just saying avoid the 10-speed because of all the issues. Luckily, most 10-speed issues are software related, not hardware related. So even if you do have some software related issue, a tune can fix it, or Ford can update the software for you if you're willing to shell out a little bit extra money to the dealership. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video in terms of the 5-year ownership of the Mustang. And you know, the car sits pretty much how I want it to be. So now let's talk about what's next for the car, because you know, it is pretty much where I would want it to be. The only 2 things I can think of, or 3 things really I can think of, is I want to get a front splitter. I'm a little concerned with the car being a little bit lower, so I don't want to spend too much money on a front splitter that's just going to scrape. But I've been researching on some options to get a front splitter. And I also want to try the E85 tune on the Mustang, because on Gen 3s, it really wakes up the car. I want to experience that, even though I don't have long tube headers and it's just going to be a tune only. People say you can still pick up a lot of horsepower with just the tune. So I want to try the E85 tune and see if I can beat my drag strip time and how much difference it's going to be. Other than that, I've thought about getting an ESS kit. I'm kind of debating on that, because I feel like supercharging my Mustang has always been my dream, and it would be a dream come true if I could do that. But there's aspects of it where it might not be easily daily drivable, and that's what kind of concerns me, because I daily drive this car and I just want to evaluate the pros and cons if it's worth supercharging this car and maybe getting a separate daily that's not going to be as fun, or just keep it where this is and actually enjoy the car year round like I currently do. So that's where the future plans are for the car. If you're new to the channel, and make sure you are subscribed so you can follow the build along. But yeah, if you enjoyed today's video of the 5-year ownership of the Mustang, make sure you give it a like, and I'll catch you guys in another video.